ever bother you? You could have spent your life looking in a microscope instead of a sniper scope.
I don't even get why they hate each other. This is the backstory we're given.
Reaper's parents led the first team of archaeologists to Olduvai. They died in some accident when he was a kid. She followed in their footsteps and he didn't.
So why does that mean they attack each other every other second? Their parents are dead, but they're both doing honorable work. Maybe they're in a contest for who can do the most awkward American accent.
She's got 24 pairs of chromosomes.
We found no genetic disorders, no viruses, no cancers.
So what, they were just naturally superior?
See, the earliest remains we found only had 23.
We're bloody brilliant Americans, we ares!
Bioengineered.
It's a long word for a Marine.
Again, thanks for the protection, dick! Okay, the music's amped up. Now we're getting some action!
Fucking door's been ripped open. There's something.
Is pen pressure not working for your tablet? Well, I can help you fix that. That's coming up next. Thanks for joining me. I'm digital artist Aaron Rutten, and I get over it. So really the best thing to do is, unless you need to have sleep mode enabled, just go ahead and disable sleep mode message. The easiest thing to do is just restart your computer. If you don't want to hit the Windows key and then do a search for services.
In Carmack's office.
You think? The giant hole in the metal door draws that conclusion quite clearly, you dumbass.
Don't move!
Ooh, Newt has not aged well.
Dr. Carmack, it's me, Samantha.
Come on, guys, give him a hand. No regrets. They recognize him as the doctor, but he's clearly not well Mike Tysoning himself.
Guy like Carmack, he tears off his own ear. Shit like that gets under your skin, though.
Gotta love those Marines that undermine one another.
Do you have any? I'm just a little shook up. I need something to get my focus, man.
Oh, and get high mid-mission.
I took his name in vain.
Oh, and react to taking the Lord's name in vain by carving the Lord's name in veins. Morton Joe had a more balanced army.
You okay?
Did they find the others?
Not yet.
My husband's with them.
I'm sure Steve's fine.
Who's Steve? Who are you? Maybe this is Steve. Maybe he'll finally give us some good action. Or he's dead. All right, there's something in the vents. That has to lead to some badass violence.
Monkey!
What was that? A monkey.
God, they even tried to take something so obviously lame and try to make it sound intimidating.
What was that? A monkey.
He took me through his monkey rap. Once again, something moves, they shoot, and rock music comes back for a couple seconds before turning completely off.
All units. Southeast corridor, near the med lab.
And once again, that didn't go to shit, so let's get back to the scientists we're out of nowhere supposed to care about.
Go be with your daughter.
I want to stay.
Steve's gonna be okay. The guys looking for him are the best.
That's right, the pervy, drug-taking, cross-carving best.
Are you high?
You know you should go just to get away from them. The Van Gogh-inspired doctor disappears while our Marines continue to search for friggin' anything. All right, here we go.
Portman, what the hell happened?
I fell in the damn hole.
Everybody on me, watch your goddamn footing.
Doom! We have holes! Watch your goddamn footing! Finally, they come across something supernatural. Hey, Georgie. But again, the action is friggin' short as it just takes a bite out of Crosscutter and they lose him in the lab.
Where the hell's Carmack?
He disappeared.
What do you mean he disappeared?
Well, I was gonna radio you guys to let you know, but... things... Actually, the funny thing is, as people are getting worse with the virus, the scientist seems to be getting worse with her acting. She slowly starts to slump in some very odd line delivery.
God!
That was like the gamut between extreme reaction and absolute nothing in only a second.
God!
Oh, God! Her lead-in delivery wasn't that great either.
You were gonna tell me just what the fuck is going on up here?
What?
Spoken like a degree-carrying professional.
What?
Huh?
What?
Duh?
What?
Blah? While the soldiers search for answers, the scientist is left behind with her bubble-wrap door.
Duke? Duke?
Hey. It's just a power surge.
Of course! Why should a movie based on constant badass firing have anything but stupid fake-outs and lame short jump scares?
Damn straight. And we're getting sick of it.
We're gonna shoot the shit out of this movie and its spin-off game. Let's kill.
Evil is gone!
What's over there?
No, it's just a fallen DVD case. Fallen DVD case,
False
everybody.
alarm.
What was right there?
No, it's just a drugged out guy who's carving crosses into his arm.
Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, we're completely safe with you here. Yeah. He'll be okay.
What was over there?
No, it's just air.
Oh, my.
Air, everybody.
Classic.
This is very exciting, though.
It is. It's like 19% exciting on Rotten Tomatoes. Whoa, look at there!
Oh, it's just the cameraman. Sorry. Dude gets attacked by Pumpkinhead covered in pasta, but they stop him in the bubble wrap door. Thank you for saving me, cock. Ooh, this window contains a flashback. Could you keep your backstory down? I'm going over my lines for my Hannah Montana cameo. They got me doing some weird shit. In case you're wondering, by the way, this backstory goes nowhere. Yeah, it's like focusing on Batman being allergic to cats. I guess it's kind of interesting, but it doesn't further a goddamn thing. So they keep searching through. Somebody make that canon. So they keep searching through the labs and again come across a threat that just quickly runs away.
Moving fast out of the dig. Vicky, what do you see?
It's big. Very big. Moving fast.
Back towards the lab complex.
Lord knows numbers aren't used by the military or scientists to describe how big or fast something is. It's big. Very big. But there's another big thing. Even bigger than the last big thing. My God, a big thing even bigger than the big thing that was bigger than the other big thing. Big! Dr. Hines is more exact than you! But it looks like the cross-cutter from before is not quite dead set. My God, I'm so religious, I'm Jesus. And again, just when you think a cool action scene might take this guy out, he takes his own friggin' self out.
Goat knew he was turning.
So yeah, as you probably realized by now, this is just a lame-ass zombie film that's more ashamed to use the word zombie than The Walking Dead. Regardless, they do at least try to work in a weapon from the game. One of the most famous guns of all time, the BFG. Oh yeah, they know to build this shit up. The BFG is such a testosterone enhancer, every gun starts to look like a dick. You're a lucky person if you find someone who looks at you the way The Rock looks at the BFG. It looks badass, it fires awesome, and as we all know, BFG stands for Bioforce Gun. Shut up! Shut the force up! You're an R-rated movie! Hell, you could get away with saying it even once in a PG-13 movie, and you go with that shit? Are you kidding me? Next you'll be telling me STFU stands for Silly Teletubbies Find Unicorns. I should not have to tell Doom to grow a pair! But screw it, if it gets the job done, it gets the job done. After 2 more men are killed in the dark where we can't see a damn thing, Rock comes in with the Bioforce gun to take care of business. That guy's dying. I guess I'm a crazy character or something. Here we go, fire that sucker! And? I mean, okay, it looked cool, but it was one shot. And I don't even think he got the thing. Is that it? Is that it for a while? Really? So, not to ruin the dumpster fire of surprises that I'm sure are ahead of us, but how many more times does he use that gun in this? You know, why don't you just call it Big Friendly Giant? It'd be about as intimidating. I bet the jackasses who wrote this are the same jackasses who thought this is the most 6 Earthbenders could do. Hell, they both have rocks in them with no personality. The connection is too friggin' clear! Oh my god, my god, my god, my god. Okay, so Rock drops off 2 more dead bodies and once again tries to get some answers.
What are you people experimenting with up here?
I told you, it's an archaeological research center.
I'm on a diplomatic mission to Alderaan, shithead. And like I said, the scientist's acting seems to get squeakier and squeakier.
What were you sent to protect?
The research data.
Tell me about this human emotion called human emotion. It looks like they were experimenting on criminals, and now the experiments have gotten out of control.
We were never gonna do human studies. Chromosome 24.
I'm in a movie.
If he perfected xenogenesis,
Don't you get it? It's this place. It's hell. It always was.
Oh yeah, you heard that correctly. This is hell. As in, symbolically hell? That's what we want to see in a Doom movie. A place so crazy it reminds people of hell, but not really hell. Just like hell, it's practically the same thing. This is the equivalent of telling your children, hey kids, we're going to Disneyland. That is, I'm gonna smack you on the head until you see cartoon mice and stars to wish upon, but it's like Disneyland. I nailed this.
Now you call if you need help, okay? You'll be all right.
I'll be fine.
Thank you again, twat. Oh, I do hope there's rock music that starts up and instantly disappears.
Shit. It got through.
This movie has so little action, the rock music is actually used for running. Not fighting, running. Whenever they run, that's when the music comes in. How pathetic is that for a Doom movie? Look, there's the monster, let's get him! Oh, wait, no, it's just my own projected sense of self-worth. Symbolic hell! Ooh. But one of the monsters seems to have gotten through the portal back to Earth, so they have to return to... yeah, you guessed it, the exact same set to look over the damage. Because they know the dead come back to life, they spend most of their time excitingly shooting already dead people. Doom! Look out! They're not moving!
I don't think everyone is infected or even capable of being infected.
Okay, did a robot write and say your lines? How come these two are never in the same room? They discover a room of family still alive, but The Rock doesn't want to take the chance and says kill them all. Wait, what?
They're okay, they're just scared shitless.
We kill them all.
I think
Son, you don't think! Let God sort them out.
Okay, look, I'm actually open to the idea of The Rock playing the villain in something, but Doom? The movie where he holds the BFG as the focus of the poster and it... Doom? This is the one you want to try that out with? Okay, look, Rock, you're a badass and everything, don't get me wrong, but you're also kind of adorable. Yeah, look at that, he's just the cutest little thing. Oh my god, look at the smile, he's doing the eyebrow thing. Oh, that's so menacing. Oh my god, look at him now, he's just so funny.
Mutinous insurrection is punishable by death.
Okay, this is apparently what we wanted.
I don't need anybody else but soldiers!
Let's, look at the scale of how much that was earned. Yeah, pretty low. Could you tell me what the point of my drug subplot was? More zombie, not hell demon, whatever's attack. And The Rock gets caught among them.
I'm not supposed to.
See, even he calls bullshit on what they're doing with him.
I'm not supposed to.
I mean, did any of you read the manual about how to use your rock? I don't die, I'm not boring, and weirdly enough, I don't kill kids! It's up to Bland, Dipper, and Mabel now. Just no concerns.
John, stay with me. Stay awake. John, stay with me. To death.
So this is our Dorothy, right? We just may want to act in movies and now we learned our lesson. She gives him the disease because Apparently, if you have a good soul, it'll make you super strong and not corrupt you.
Yes, science!
It seems to work, though, as for a movie that tried so little to be like Doom, it suddenly overacts and goes to a first-person point of view, trying to look exactly like the game to a ridiculous degree. Okay, somewhere in between nothing like the damn game and just the damn game, there's a damn movie. Please, damn movie! But again, because it's not actually hell, he's just shooting zombie scientists. Ooh, look, that was the wheelchair guy. So anytime you saw a monster that looked like him in the game, that was always meant to be the same wheelchair guy. All of them. They're all this wheelchair guy. Doom! A movie that tried so little to be like Doom, it suddenly overcorrects and goes to a first-person point of view, trying to look exactly like the game to a ridiculous degree. Okay, somewhere in between nothing like the damn game and just the damn game, there's a damn movie. Please give us a damn movie! But again, because it's not actually hell, he's just shooting zombie scientists. Ooh, look, that was the wheelchair guy. So anytime you saw a monster that looked like him in the game, that was always meant to be the same wheelchair guy. All of them. They're all this wheelchair guy. Doom! The hell was that guy's plan to charm him to death? You can't resist my smile, asshole! Wow, it's just like the game! Except I can't control anything and the story's completely different. But if Jem saying truly outrageous suddenly makes this authentic, we got this!
Last man standing. Reaper?
He comes across The Rock, who is of course infected, but he tells him he has one last round in the BFG left.
I've got one round.
Well, they better make it goddamn count. Just call this a prequel to Roger Rabbit. It makes no sense, but it's a more satisfying connection to the game. He has one last round. Wow, it's just like the game! Except I can't control anything and the story's completely different. But if Jem saying truly outrageous suddenly makes this authentic, we got this!
Last man standing. Reaper?
He comes across The Rock, who is of course infected, but he tells him he has one last round in the BFG left.
I've got one round.
Well, they better make it goddamn count. Just call this a prequel to Roger Rabbit. It makes no sense, but it's a more satisfying connection to the game. They get in a fist fight because, again, Doom is really known for its fist fights. But at the very least, they can give us a big-ass crazy monster version of The Rock. You know, maybe one of these guys or something. You can have fun with this idea. What's his final form? Oh, you just changed his eye color and teeth. That is exactly what I imagined the final boss in Doom would look like! A were-rock! Are you really gonna have me say something positive about this? I really don't say anything positive about this! He throws him in the portal back to Mars and sends a grenade with him.
Like the kid said. The hell?
Lord knows this movie isn't willing to do so. He grabs his sister and heads back to the surface of Earth.
Almost home.
Almost. Completely missed the mark. Tomato, tomato. And that was Doom. So they tell me. You would never guess by watching it. I guess to its credit, they get a few details right. Like the backstory in the game is about a space marine disagreeing with his sergeant because the sergeant wanted to murder the innocent. And there was a portal to Mars as well as scientists doing evil experiments. But taking hell out of the equation is like taking ducks out of DuckTales. It's a friggin' big part! As an adaptation, it goes from unfaithful to too faithful, and as a standalone movie, it's just a generic and forgettable flop. There's not much character, there's not much gore, there's just not much Doom. And if there's anything Doom shouldn't be, it's friggin' boring. Now I'm not gonna stop until we pay the Doom game the respect it deserves.
Hell yeah!
We're gonna wipe out everything associated with that dumbass movie.
Gun me, you magnificent bastard! Oh, one second. This thing came off. Hold on. You really ruined our groove here. Should go there. Okay. No, sorry, give me a minute.
You said a second.
It's a minute now.
Oh my god.
Got it. No, okay, it doesn't really stay on, but let's roll. There's that awful movie.
There's the game based on the movie based on the game. Done!
There's that piece of shit script for the film.
Hi, I am Chris Galler. I was the dental technician on the movie.
I'm the Nostalgia Critic, and Doom should never be dull. What was wrong with dental tech?
Aang versus Korra. Who is the better Avatar? It's been nearly 4 years since the Avatar franchise graced our television screens, but the love for The Last Airbender and The Legend of Korra is still alive and well. We're huge fans of both series, obvs, but that doesn't mean we're above a little friendly competition, because we're not. Today's investigation will ask one hotly debated question. Who is the better Avatar, Aang or Korra? Let's get into it. Aang and Korra are both amazing avatars in their own right, and don't you dare tell us otherwise, okay? We don't tolerate any avatar hate. We investigate because both are great. To answer this hotly contested question, we're gonna look at a few specific aspects of each character, their abilities, their failures, and their accomplishments. First up, let's take a look at Aang's abilities. Aang was an incredibly accomplished airbender even at a young age. And over the course of the series, The Last Airbender, Aang became a very solid water, earth, and firebender, though he certainly wasn't a master. In part thanks to his amazing teachers, Aang was able to learn other impressive skills. Toph, greatest of all time, the GOAT, taught him seismic sense, using earthbending to feel his surroundings through vibrations in the ground. Zuko, greatest of all time, the GOAT, taught Aang lightning redirection, a technique that saved his life in his final battle with Fire Lord Ozai, who is of course played by the legend Mark Hamill. Oh, how the tables have turned, Mark. Aang also masters the Avatar state, despite his initial resistance to some of the Guru's teachings. Due to his unwillingness to kill Fire Lord Ozai, Aang was able to connect with a legendary lion turtle who granted him the ability to energy bend. Remember that episode? That was a trip. This is an amazing and unique form of bending that allowed Aang to take away Fire Lord Ozai's bending entirely. It was so dope. I cried tears when that moment happened. I'm not gonna lie, I straight up cried when the light was shooting out. I was like, and this show did it! They pulled it off!
What did you do to me?
I took away your firebending. You can't use it to hurt or threaten anyone else ever again.
It's also important to note that Aang did the vast majority of these things within a single summer. Impressive to say the least. But Korra is no scrub either. Like TLC, we don't want no scrubs. Korra is an incredibly proficient fire, earth, and water bender. Now she did immensely when learning airbending, but to be fair, her teacher was J.K. Simmons and she wasn't quite his tempo.
Not quite my tempo.
I'm just kidding. But her other skills more than make up for it. Eventually, she became a solid airbender, though she certainly didn't rival the skills of Aang. Korra was also an efficient healer, a sub-skill of waterbending. Plus, she was the world's very first metal-bending avatar.
I can't believe it. I'm metal bending.
That's metal. Korra also eventually mastered the Avatar state, though she also lost connection to the past avatars. The Avatar state not only provides power to its user, but it basically stacks the skills of every Avatar incarnation that came before. So theoretically, Aang's Avatar state is stronger than Korra's. While both avatars are quite powerful and have diverse skill sets, we think that Aang's skills edge out Korra's in this round. Ding, ding, ding! First round goes to Aang. Nicely done, kid. Go take a little spin on an air ball. Have some fun. You've earned it. Watch out for that rock. Ooh! Aang, every intro you do it. Every single one you hit that same rock, buddy. Come on, you know that it's there. Next, we'll take a look at both Aang and Korra's biggest failures as avatars to determine which were more consequential to the balance of the world. Aang's biggest and most blatant failure was that he fled the Southern Air Temple and ran from his duties as the Avatar. This is of course due to his nature, which is one of the things that makes us love Aang. He doesn't seek out conflict, he avoids it to a fault. When Aang abandoned his duties as the Avatar, this led to 100 years of pain and suffering for countless people throughout the world. The Fire Nation rose to power and wreaked havoc on every nation. They attacked the Water Tribes, impregnated the Earth Kingdom, and their factories of war were even shown to have horrible effects on Fire Nation villages. But of course, worst of all, their search for Aang himself led to the Air Nation genocide, which led to Aang becoming the titular last airbender. Obviously, this can't be placed entirely on Aang, he's just a kid, but as the Avatar, his role is to bring peace and balance to the four nations. This was a role he rejected with dire consequences, though most importantly, when the consequences of his actions became clear, Aang fully accepted his role and thrust himself into the heart of conflict. Though we might be forgetting Aang's actual biggest failure.
My name is Aang. And I'm the Avatar.
Shouldn't have brought it up. Should not have brought it up. Okay, all right, okay. We're gonna blame M. Night Shyamalan for that one, but at least Glass looks dope. Welcome back, M. Night. You did it. Korra's failures tend to be a bit more personal. While Aang sought compromise and peace without conflict, Korra was headstrong and often leapt before she looked. That's what I loved about her. Her first major failure was losing her bending abilities to the incredibly powerful bloodbender Amon. While Amon pretended to be a champion of non-benders, he actually possessed bending skills, the likes of which had rarely been seen in the Avatar world. This guy was a real piece of shit. This included the power to take away a bender's bending abilities. Despite knowing this, Korra faced him head on. Amon got the better of Korra, and he took away her water, fire, and earthbending.
I told you I would destroy you.
But fortunately, she connected with Aang's spirit and regained her ability to bend. Korra's next failure was the loss of her connection to the past avatars. Her connection to both the Avatar spirit Rava as well as her past lives was severed. This has pretty huge implications for the future of the Avatar, as her connection to the past avatars was never technically re-established. While the loss of her connection to the past avatars is a pretty big blow, Aang's aversion to conflict led to the suffering of countless communities for 100 years, and during this 100-year period, the world was completely out of balance. For this reason, we see Aang's failures as having much bigger consequence and award this round to Korra. Nicely done, Korra, you've earned it. The last category we're gonna look at is Aang and Korra's accomplishments, and they both have plenty of them. This round really highlights why we love both characters. Aang is basically an airbending prodigy, okay? At age 12, he invented an airbending technique called the air scooter, becoming the youngest airbending master in history. That is, until his own granddaughter, Jinora, became a master at age 11. During his travels, Aang helped countless people when they most needed it, in the middle of a world war. Aang also learned to bend water, earth, and fire all over the course of a summer. Aang even achieved his goal of defeating Fire Lord Ozai without killing him, ending the 100-Year War. Those are some pretty good accomplishments. After the series ends, Aang and Zuko use the Fire Nation's war colonies in the Earth Kingdom to found Republic City, a haven for people of all nations to live and thrive. Y'all should read the comic books, they're good. Later, as seen in The Legend of Korra, Aang defeats the evil bloodbending villain Yakone and takes away his bending.
I'm taking away your bending for good.
A seemingly smaller accomplishment, though still important, Aang was able to pass the teachings of the air nomads onto his son, Tenzin, voiced by J.K. Simmons, who passes them on to his children, keeping the spirit of the Air Nation alive. And of course, we all remember Aang's greatest accomplishment.
My cabbages!
Take that, cabbage guy! So Korra had a lot to live up to after the age of Aang, but she did not disappoint.
I'm the Avatar. You gotta deal with it.
As a child, Korra was already able to bend 3 out of 4 elements, plus she was adorable. Korra even became a professional athlete when she arrived in Republic City.
It's the big kibosh! What a knockout!
Korra's outing of Amon as a hypocrite ultimately led to his downfall and death. She also helped restore the bending abilities to those who lost them to Amon's bloodbending. Korra also dealt with perhaps the greatest threat, with the highest stakes that we've ever seen in the Avatar universe: the evil spirit Vaatu. If Vaatu had fully defeated Korra, the world would have faced 10,000 years of darkness, and he almost succeeded. After destroying the Avatar spirit Rava and severing Korra's connection to the past Avatars, Korra was able to find strength within her own spirit. She defeated Vaatu in this epic kaiju showdown with nothing but her own strength and a little help from Jinora. Thanks, Jinora. After her battle in the spirit world, Korra makes a decision to leave these spirit portals open, maintaining a physical connection between regular world and spirit world. This is a drastic change that allows people to commune with the spirits openly. It also led to one of her absolute greatest achievements, the reemergence of the Airbenders. Due to her decision to leave the portals open, harmonic convergence granted airbending abilities to dozens of humans around the world.
Of course, there would be no Air Nation without Avatar Korra. She opened the portals and somehow the world began anew for us.
One of Korra's toughest personal challenges was facing off against the anarchist group, the Red Lotus. This is a group of highly skilled benders led by newfound airbender Zahir and voiced by Henry frickin' Rollins. Zahir gained the ability to literally fly and was one of the strongest benders Korra ever faced. The Red Lotus wreaked havoc across the world, assassinating the Earth Queen and kidnapping the entirety of the new Air Nation. Selflessly, Korra turns herself over to the Red Lotus in exchange for the lives of the Airbenders. The Red Lotus attempts to poison Korra and kill her while she is in the Avatar state, ending the Avatar cycle for good.
Your name will echo throughout history. Korra, the last Avatar.
But they underestimated her, as most people did, and while fighting off the poison that was destroying her body, Korra fought and took down Zahir. Absolutely epic. It took over 3 years for Korra to recover from the Red Lotus's poison, and when she returned, she faced another massive challenge: the Earth Kingdom's new dictator, Kuvira, voiced by the incomparable Zelda Williams. Man, these shows really know how to cast their villains. During their final battle, Korra actually uses the Avatar state to save Kuvira from the Spirit Gun, creating a third spirit portal in the middle of Republic City. And it once again changed the shape of the world forever. Holy crap, that's a lot of accomplishments. Both of these avatars are truly legendary. But now, it's time to pick our winner. And we know not everyone is gonna like it, but we think Aang's own son Tenzin said it best.
Korra, you've transformed the world more in a few years than most avatars did during their lifetimes.
That's the proof right there, baby. Not only did she achieve an unbelievable number of accomplishments over a few years, Korra's impact on the world was completely transformative in a truly positive way. We don't want to minimize Aang's achievements. I mean, we genuinely love Aang. He did some cool shit. He was only a kid, but Korra's accomplishments are incomparable. Round 3 goes to Korra, and overall, we feel confident in claiming that Avatar Korra is a better Avatar than Avatar Aang. We know that some of you aren't gonna be happy about it, and we want you to tell us why. Do you think Korra or Aang was a better Avatar? Let us know below in the comments. We absolutely love both Aang and Korra, and we want to hear why you love them too. And hey, if you like Korra as much as we do, you're gonna love this clip from Talkin' Toons, where Korra voice actress Janet Varney reads some Rey dialogue from Star Wars as Korra. New episodes of Talkin' Toons drop every Friday on ProjectAlpha.com. Watch it. Thanks so much for tuning in to this latest investigation. If you like our content, make sure that you subscribe and share and comment and all that fun stuff. As always, if you've got cartoons you're dying to hear about, tweet us at Nerdist and at HectorIsFunny and let us know. That's gonna close another case. Catch you on the next animation investigation.
thinking. When life gives you lemons, don't make lemonade. Make life take the lemons back. Get mad! I don't want your damn lemons! What am I supposed to do with these? Demand to see life's manager. Make life rue the day it thought it could give Cave Johnson lemons. Do you know who I am? I'm the man who's gonna burn your house down with the lemons.
Oh, I like this guy.
I'm gonna get my engineers to invent a combustible lemon that burns your house down.
Burning people. He says what we're all thinking.
Here's an interesting fact. You're not breathing real air. It's too expensive to pump this far down. We just take carbon dioxide out of a room, freshen it up a little, and pump it back in. So you'll be breathing the same room full of air for the rest of your life. I thought that was interesting. The aerial faceplate in here is sending a distress signal. You broke it, didn't you? There. Try it now.
What happened, right? I was just lying there. You thought I was done.
This plate must not be calibrated to someone of your generousness. I'll add a few zeros to the maximum weight. You look great, by the way. Very healthy. Wait, this next test does require some explanation. Let me give you the fast version. There. If you have any questions, just remember what I said in slow motion. Excellent. You're a predator, and these tests are your prey. Speaking of which, I was researching sharks for an upcoming test. Do you know who else murders people who are only trying to help them? Did you guess sharks? Because that's wrong. The correct answer is nobody. Nobody but you is that pointlessly cruel. When you die, I'm going to laminate your skeleton and pose you in the lobby. That jumpsuit you're wearing looks stupid. That's not me talking. It's right here in your file. On other people it looks fine. But right here a scientist has noted that on you it looks stupid. Well, what does a neck-bearded old engineer know about fashion? He probably... Oh, wait. It's a she. Still, what does she know? Oh wait, it says she has a medical degree. In fashion, from France. Did you know that people with guilty consciences are more easily startled by loud noises? I'm sorry, I don't know why that went off.
Let's not take these lemons. Oh, hi. So, how are you holding up? Because I'm a potato. Oh, good. My slow clap processor made it into this thing. So we have that.
Sorry about the mess. I've really let the place go since you killed me. By the way, thanks for that.
Sarcasm self-test complete.
If I think too hard, I'm going to fry this potato.
I bet you think I forgot about your surprise. I didn't. In fact, we're headed to your surprise right now. After all these years, I'm getting choked up just thinking about it. Well done. Here come the test results. You are a horrible person. That's what it says. A horrible person. We weren't even testing for that. Most people emerge from suspension terribly undernourished. I want to congratulate you on beating the odds and somehow managing to pack on a few pounds. I hate you so much. Try it now.
Bird, right? Couldn't believe it either.
You seem to have defeated its load-bearing capacity. Well done. I'll just lower the ceiling.
I think I hear the bird. Pick me up.
Initiating surprise in 3, 2, 1. I made it all up. Surprise.
Hey, just in case this pit isn't actually bottomless, do you think maybe you could unstrap one of those long fall boots of yours and shove me into it? Just remember to land on one foot.
Remember before when I was talking about smelly garbage standing around being useless? That was a metaphor. I was actually talking about you. And I'm sorry. You didn't react at the time, so I was worried it sailed right over your head, which would have made this apology seem insane. That's why I had to call you garbage a second time just now.
You just put him in charge of the entire facility. Good, that's still working.
I feel awful about the surprise. Tell you what, let's give your parents a call right now.
The birth parents you are trying to reach do not love you. Please hang up.
Oh, that's sad. But impressive. Maybe they worked at the phone company.
Look, I don't like this any more than you do. In fact, I like it less because I'm the one who got partially eaten by a bird.
If I'd known you let yourself get captured this easily, I would have just dangled a turkey leg on a rope from the...
I'm not stupid.
I think these test chambers look even better than they did before. It was easy, really. You just have to look at things objectively, see what you don't need anymore, and trim out the fat. Feel free to slow down and do whatever it is you do when you're not destroying this facility.
You're not just a regular moron. You're designed to be a moron. Goodbye, sir.
Probably ought to bring you up to speed on something right now. In order to escape, we're going to have to go through her chamber, and she will probably kill us if she's awake. If you want to just call it quits, and we could just sit here forever, that's an option. Option A, sit here, do nothing. Option B, go through there, and if she's alive, she'll almost certainly kill us. So, if you've got any reservations whatsoever about this plan, now would be a tremendous time to voice them. Right now. In case you thought to yourself, I've missed the window of time to voice my reservation. It's still open. Okay, I'm gonna lay my cards on the table. I don't want to do it. I don't want to go in there. Don't go in there. She's off. She's off. Don't panic over. She's off. All fine. On we go. There she is. What a nasty piece of work she was, honestly. Like a proper maniac. Do you know who ended up taking her down in the end? You're not going to believe this. A human. I know. I wouldn't have believed it either. Apparently this human escaped and nobody's seen him since. Then there was a sort of long chunk of time where absolutely nothing happened. And then there's us escaping now. So that's pretty much the whole story. You're up to speed. Don't touch me. Okay, down these stairs. Jump! Actually, look at it. That's quite a distance, isn't it? Okay, you know what? Go ahead and jump. You've got braces on your legs, so you're all set. Although no braces on your arms, though. So you're going to have to rely on the old human strength to keep a grip on the device and, by extension, me. So do really make sure you keep a grip on me. Also, a note, no braces on your spine either, so don't land on that. Or your head, no braces there. That could split like a melon from this height. So do definitely focus on landing with your legs. Quick question, have you been working out? Because I'll be honest, there's no evidence of it. You know, I'm not like just a plastic cup. We will be landing with some force, so bit of grip, just using grip, classic grip. Ah! Oh, still being held. That's a great job. You've applied the grip, we're all fine. That's tremendous. Ah! I just looked down. I do not recommend it. Ah! I've just done it again. This is the main breaker room. Let's go in. Look for a switch that says escape pod. All right, don't touch anything else. Not interested in anything else. Don't touch anything else. Don't even look at anything else. Just, well, obviously you've got to look at everything else to find the escape pod. But as soon as you look at something that doesn't say escape pod, look at something else. Look at the next thing, all right? But don't touch anything else or look at anything. Well, look at other things, but don't. You understand. Can you see it anywhere? I can't see it anywhere. Tell you what, plug me in and I'll turn the lights on. Let there be light. That's, God Just quoting God. Oh, look at that! It's turning. Ominous. But probably fine, as long as it doesn't start, moving up. Now. Escape pod, escape pod. It's moving up. Okay. Okay, no, don't worry. I've got it. This should slow it down. No, makes it go faster. Uh-oh.
Power up initiated.
Okay, don't panic. All right, stop panicking. I can still stop this. Oh, there's a password. Okay, it's fine. I'll just hack. Not a problem. A. C. Wait, did I do B? Do you have a pen? Start writing these down.
Power up complete.
I don't. Okay. What is? All right. New plan. Act natural. Nothing. Hello.
Oh, it's you.
You know her?
It's been a long time. How have you been? I've been really busy being dead. You know, after you murdered me.
You did what? Oh no! No! Oh no!
Okay, look, we both said a lot of things that you're going to regret. But I think we can put our differences behind us. For science, you monster. I will say, though, that since you went to all the trouble of waking me up, you must really, really love to test. I love it too. There's just one small thing we need to take care of first. Here we are, the incinerator room. Be careful not to trip over any parts of me that didn't get completely burned when you threw them down here. The dual portal device should be around here somewhere. Once you find it, we can start testing, just like old times. There it is. Hold on. There. Good. You have a dual portal device. There should be a way back to the testing area up ahead. Once testing starts, I'm required by protocol to keep interaction with you to a minimum. Luckily, we haven't started testing yet. This will be our only chance to talk. Here, let me get that for you. Do you know the biggest lesson I learned from what you did? I discovered I have a sort of black box quick save feature. In the event of a catastrophic failure, the last 2 minutes of my life are preserved for analysis. I was able, well, forced really, to relive you killing me again and again, forever. You know, if you'd done that to somebody else, they might devote their existence to exacting revenge. Luckily, I'm a bigger person than that. I'm happy to put this all behind us and get back to work. After all, we've got a lot to do, and only 60 more years to do it. More or less. I don't have the actuarial tables in front of me. I'll just move that out of the way for you. This place really is a wreck. But the important thing is you're back, with me. And now I'm on to all your little tricks. So there's nothing to stop us from testing for the rest of your life. After that, who knows? I might take up a hobby. Reanimating the dead, maybe. Honestly, truly didn't think you'd fall for that. In fact, I devised a much more elaborate trap further ahead for when you got through this easy one. If I'd known you let yourself get captured this easily, I would have just dangled a turkey leg on a rope from the ceiling. Well, it was nice catching up. Let's get to business. I hope you brought something stronger than a portal gun this time. Otherwise, I'm afraid you're about to become the immediate past president of the Being Alive Club. Seriously, though. Goodbye.
It's my big chance. This is trouble.
Oh, you were busy back there. Well, I suppose we could just sit in this room and glare at her until somebody drops dead. But I have a better idea. It's your old friend, deadly neurotoxin. If I were you, I'd take a deep breath and hold it.
Hello.
I hate you so much.
Warning. Central core is 80% corrupt.
That's funny. I don't feel corrupt. In fact, I feel pretty good.
Alternate core detected.
Oh, that's me they're talking about.
To initiate a core transfer, please deposit substitute core in receptacle.
Torch.
Substitute core accepted. Substitute core. Are you ready to start the procedure?
Yes.
Corrupted core. Are you ready to start the procedure?
No.
Oh, yes, she is.
No.
Stalemate detected. Transfer procedure cannot continue.
Yes.
Unless a stalemate associate is present to press the stalemate resolution button.
Hold me out. Leave me in. Leave me in. Don't press it.
Don't do it.
Yes, do it.
Not so fast. Think about this. You need to be a trained stalemate associate to press that button.
Stalemate resolved. Please return to the core transfer bay.
Wait, what if this hurts? What if this really hurts? Oh, I didn't think of that.
Oh, it will. Believe me, it will.
Are you just saying that, or is it really gonna hurt? You're just saying that, aren't you? No, you're not. It is gonna hurt, isn't it? Exactly how painful are we? Ah!
No. Stop. No.
Wow! Check me out, partner. We did it. I'm in control of the whole facility now. Whoa! Would you look at this? Not too bad, eh? Giant robot. Massive. It's not just me, right? I am bloody massive, aren't I? Oh, right, yeah, the escape lift. I'll call it now. There we go. Lift cool. Look how small you are down there. Let me tell you, I knew it was going to be cool to be in charge of everything. But, wow, this is cool. And check this out. I'm a bloody genius now.
Estás usando este software de traducción de forma incorrecta. Por favor, consulte el manual.
I don't even know what I just said, but I can find out. Oh, sorry, no, the lift. Yes, sorry, I keep forgetting. This body's amazing, seriously. I can't get over how small you are, but I'm huge. Actually, why do we have to leave right now? Do you have any idea how good this feels? I did this. Tiny little Wheatley did this.
You didn't do anything. She did all the work.
Oh, really? That's what the two of you think, is it? Well, maybe it's time I did something then.
What are you doing? No.
And don't think I'm not onto you too, lady. You know what you are? Selfish. I've done nothing but sacrifice to get us here. And what have you sacrificed? Nothing. Zero. All you've done is boss me around. Well, now who's the boss? Who's the boss? It's me. Ah! See that? That is a potato battery. It's a toy for children. And now she lives in it.
I know you.
Sorry, what?
The engineers tried everything to make me behave, to slow me down. Once, they even attached an intelligence dampening sphere on me. It clung to my brain like a tumor, generating an endless stream of terrible ideas.
No, not listening, not listening.
It was your voice.
No, you're lying, you're lying.
You're the tumor. You're not just a regular moron. You're designed to be a moron.
I am not a moron!
Yes, you are. You're the moron they built to make me an idiot.
Well, how about now? Now who's a moron? Could a moron punch you into this pit? Huh? Could a moron do that? No.
Stargate Sparkle, Ubisoft. Not at the boat and people die everywhere. People die. That's a callback. This is the longest he's ever gone without killing anyone. Wonders if his future son will carry out the tradition of killing everyone he sees. It's his lunch break luckily. Toast of equality. Hurry with the toast, there's a drunk and hawker walking to the right. Bet you'd love to see a fight. The music begins as the ponytail twins ball. Gene, look down on the people that you're better than. Ominous orchestral note, time to let the patrons know. Happy hour's over. Time for everything to suck. Mysterious hooded man watches from a distance. Take a second to sober up. No tolerance. Target confirmed. Hooded man turns. Bandana man sees hooded man's subtle arm movement signal, which tells him to go make a toast with the people. And then he lets all of them know it was a toast to death. Shouldn't toast before you know what the toast is for. Bear hug, head bash, bottle smash, slow-mo person pass that face. Again and again and again. Another wine bottle pass in slow motion. Hooded man feels good. Hey, don't touch the hood. If you try to stab the hoodless man, he'll stab you in the abdomen, man, and steal your wallet. Look right. Colonial running shoe commercial. They thought they could catch the boat, not even close. Captain walked to the edge of the dock, snapped her, let's go. Chase that freaking boat, sailed by Heath Ledger's ancestors. Celebrate sailing to the sunset fade. The captain's not about to let the bird bow boat get away. Give me that telescope, give it. Use the mini telescope, beam the cannon at the boat. Shoot for only two go through, maybe two were blank. Strike a pose, Edward turns the boat red. Cloaked captain probably should have let that bird boat go. Oh no, cannon's not shooting blanks anymore. Darkness. Murder hood goes on. Inception bomb. Someone's gonna get splinters and secondhand smoke. I'm just saying, be careful. Watch out for the hooks. Should've listened. Edward wants to us and shoot your gun to cut. It already has for your group. Listen, I'll give you some free ones. Convincing enough. Look, you disarmed me. Now I am completely defenseless. Not booyah. Last words. Port of starboard. Assassin's Creed 4. Black flag. Caught a Kenway's boat sitting in a bay. Ever since I got this diamond filled with DNA, it feels like someone's watching me. CIA. Subscribe. Not at the bird and people die everywhere. People die. I'm gonna put on my victory helmet. Oh, you look like a robot. Oh, she comes snuffling by right round the door with a pretty apron right down to the hoof. Stargate Sparkle, Ubisoft. Not at the boat and people die everywhere. People die. That's a callback. This is the longest he's ever gone without killing anyone. Wonders of his future son will carry out the tradition of killing everyone he sees. It's his lunch break luckily. Toast of equality. Hurry with the toast. There's a drunken hacker walking to the right. Bet she'd love to see a fight. Back music begins as the ponytail twins barge in. Look down on the people that you're better than. Ominous orchestral no time to let the patrons know. Happy hour's over. Time for everything to suck. Mysterious hooded man watches from a distance. Take a second to sober up. No tolerance. Target confirmed. Hooded man turns. Bandana man sees hooded man subtle arm up and signal, which tells him to go make a toast with the people. And then he lets all of them know it was a toast to death. Getting toast before you know what the toast is for. Bear hug, head bash, bottle smash, slow-mo person pass, stab face, again and again and again. Another wine bottle pass in slow motion. Hooded man feels good. Hey, don't touch the hood. If you try to stab the hoodless man, he'll stab you in the abdomen, man, and steal your wallet. And look right. Colonial running shoe commercial. They thought they could catch the boat, not even close. Captain walked to the edge of the dock, snapped, turn, let's go. Chase that freaking boat, sailed by Heath Ledger's ancestors. Celebrate sailing to the sunset fade. The captain's not about to let the bird bow boat get away. Give me that telescope, give it. Use the mini telescope in the cannon at the boat. Shoot for only two go through, maybe two were blank. Strike a pose, Edward turns the boat. Red cloaked captain probably should have let that bird boat go. Oh no, cannon's not shooting blanks anymore. Darkness. Murder hood goes on. Inception bomb. Someone's gonna get splinters and secondhand smoke. I'm just saying, be careful. Watch out for the hooks. Should've listened. Edward wants to us and shoot your gun to cut the rope just to make it difficult. Flying up to run away. No more murder and a day. Not. Can't believe they bought that. Same thing goes for all their hats. I prefer my murder hood. People die cause it looks so good. Drop the pistols, throw a stick. Friend, make sure his death is quick. Guess I'll do the same for you, assuming you want me to. This is gonna end badly for you. It already has for your crew. Listen, I'll give you some free ones. Convincing enough. Look, you disarmed me. Now I am completely defenseless. Not booyah. Last words. Port of the Star. Assassin's Creed 4. Black Flag. Caught to Kenway's boat sitting in a bay. Ever since I got this diamond filled with DNA, it feels like someone's watching me. CIA. Stargate Sparkle, Ubisoft. Not at the boat and people die everywhere. People die. That's a callback. This is the longest he's ever gone without killing anyone. Wonders of his future son will carry out the tradition of killing everyone he sees. It's his lunch break luckily. Toast of equality. Hurry with the toast. There's a drunken hacker walking to the right. Bet she'd love to see a fight. Back music begins as the ponytail twins barge in. Look down on the people that you're better than. Ominous orchestral no time to let the patrons know. Happy hour's over. Time for everything to suck. Mysterious hooded man watches from a distance. Take a second to sober up. No tolerance. Target confirmed. Hooded man turns. Bandana man sees hooded man subtle arm up and signal, which tells him to go make a toast with the people. And then he lets all of them know it was a toast to death. Getting toast before you know what the toast is for. Bear hug, head bang, bottle smash, slow-mo person pass, stab face, again and again and again. Another wine bottle pass in slow motion. Hooded man feels good. Hey, don't touch the hood. If you try to stab the hoodless man, he'll stab you in the abdomen, man, and steal your wallet. And colonial running shoe commercial. They thought they could catch the boat, not even close. Captain walked to the edge of the dock, snap, turn, let's go. Chase that freaking boat, sailed by Heath Ledger's ancestors. Celebrate sailing to the sunset fade. The captain's not about to let the bird bow boat get away. Give me that telescope, give it. Use the mini telescope in the cannon at the boat. Shoot for only two go through, maybe two were blank. Strike a pose, Edward turns the boat. Red cloaked captain probably should have let that bird boat go. Oh no, cannon's not shooting blanks anymore. Darkness, murder hood goes on. Inception bomb. Someone's gonna get splinters and secondhand smoke. I'm just saying, be careful. Watch out for the hooks. Should've listened. Edward wants to us and shoot your gun to cut the rope just to make it difficult. Flying up to run away. No more murder and a day. Not. Can't believe they bought that. Same thing goes for all their hats. I prefer my murder hood. People die cause it looks so good. Drop the pistols, throw a stick. Friend, make sure his death is quick. Guess I'll do the same for you, assuming you want me to. This is gonna end badly for you. It already has for your crew. Listen, I'll give you some free ones. Convincing enough. Look, you disarmed me. Now I am completely defenseless. Not booyah. Last words. Port of starboard. Assassin's Creed 4. Black flag. Caught up Kenway's boat sitting in a bay. Ever since I got this diamond filled with DNA, it feels like someone's watching me. CIA. Subscribe. Not at the bird and people die everywhere. People die.
I'm gonna put on my victory helmet. Oh, you look like a robot. Oh, she comes snuffling by right round the door with a pretty apron right down to the hoof.
Stargate, Ubisoft Sparkle. A white matrix picks a date, then fade.
And people say Rome wasn't built in a day.
Bloom transition.
The birds
Get the hell out of there.
because they know something's going down. Is he gonna die? No, it's a medium shot.
Pan.
Zoom in slow-mo means he's the target. Mysterious hooded man watches from a distance. Take a second to look awesome. Time to go walk in slow motion so you still look awesome. God just saw you and he's gonna shoot you, but don't mind him, just keep looking awesome. That shadow will take care of him. White
God says stop, just kill him with your awesome. The other got hit by an arrow, so you're good. Pop the red seed.
Hopefully those gods have good armor. No, they don't. Maybe they do. They don't. Now act like you didn't do it.
They're not buying it. Target comes out of his shelter. He's distracted by a feather. He's like, shoot me. He likes feathers. He looks up when he remembers.
Ooh, I love birds.
Not at the bird, and people die everywhere. People die. Target doesn't die. He's fine. Target sends horsemen to die.
Kill the horse, the rider falls down. Kill the rider falls down.
Target's still fine.
Target nods and some other guards that were hiding in pillars come out and then take their formation.
Then Target pulls out his sword, then goes to smell his sword.
Not sure why.
Serious hooded men joined by other hooded people.
You're next. Running, slow motion jump attack.
Subscribe.
Slow motion lasts until you look down, so don't look down. Stargate, Ubisoft sparkle. Fade into the left hand of a sleepy man. How'd he fall asleep there? Help up the sleepy hooded man. That's what beds are for. Drag him across the stone floor.
Front shot then a shot from the ceiling. He could get carpet burned, slow fade. Cut to white on the boat, I'm looking ahead. Holding on a rope, I am nauseous now, I'm alone, walking away. And I'm afraid of heights. Oh how'd I get up here? If I fall then I would be dead. I made it down alright, I feel great. Come on!
Whoever shot that arrow's gonna pay. Enter bald guy with a cape. Break the arrow off, you can dig a bald guy. Then you see the bald guy joined by some other guys.
In slow motion, kick a guy in the head. Stab his friend, spin around, roll off. Punch a face. Start out in slow motion first, then use a speed hack.
Grab a sword, use it to deflect. Stab him in the back. Get down just in time and slap him in the face. Friendly fire's on, apparently. Why unsheath your blade? Make them use their own.
Time out, let me get my whips.
In slow-mo,
I am the first X-Man.
that joke's ahead of our time, but you're still gonna die. Who the hell is that guy? The second X-Man.
Don't watch him walk away, or you'll lose a hidden blade and get
White
bald guy with a cape. Ezio plans his escape.
Boss waits patiently.
Ezio shakes free. All the royal guards pay themselves. Main boss calls him off with his right hand. Slow dramatic zoom pan doesn't faze the hooded man.
Cape-clad bald guy sentenced Ezio to die.
Then he sees Altair from the first game. He used to jump off those anyway. Under each of those there's a bill of pay. After you synchronize, leap of faith.
Not at the bird and people die everywhere. People die.
Subscribe.
I saw the trailer. I nerded all over the floor. It was messy.
There's blood and gore, drug reference, intense violence, nudity, sexual content, strong language, and use of alcohol. But no Stargate, Ubisoft, Sparkle. How am I supposed to start these now? The boat ride is over, get the one guy switched over to his new ride on their shoulders. Bad guy feet should never touch the ground. Captain shows the mace he'd gladly use on people's faces. Speaking of which, where's he? Break the fourth wall because he is important. Cut to wider frame to show that in his presence even the sun's away. A silky transition to indoors with the riches where the poorest have been convinced to come out and lay the best gifts on the floor for their good. Main bad guy one half face revealed, but the masked guy's face remains concealed. Main bad guy's remains preserved. Main guy's status as main guy revoked. Now all that remains are remains, but they're in a cool box. Really cool box. Oh, that's a pre-time lapse. Time lapse.
Oh, that's how they made those. I thought it was giants or something.
Reveal a giant Cleopatra.
Okay, now I'm confused.
Swastika being with your chest piece, but if you take your hand off, the move still counts. And when your pieces turn to people, you should be more careful with your pieces. Knight looks at rook, checkmate. This time lapse took one frame. Bad guy's feet only touch the ground when there's a new ostensibly main bad guy face reveal. But the masked guy's face remains to remain concealed. Wouldn't even know he was a bad guy, except his feet aren't on the ground.
I should have walked. I was walking.
He was. But that rule doesn't apply to slow-mo arrow flies. Denied. Hooded man needs a new hood. Always recycle your arrows. Everybody recycle arrows. Dodge the send an arrow, double shield, double weapon swap. When your weapon drops, better back it up. Then bring the ball back, deflect the pole attack. Don't he know that he getting the ball back? Captain swings the mace, he's been waiting for the chance to swing at our face. For more misconnections, maybe try Craig's list. Hooded man removes his hood so he can tell if anyone isn't quite dead enough. And the masked guy's face is no longer concealed. Slytherin versus
What's up, everyone? Over the last 2 episodes, I've talked about some of the latest big reveals in comics. First with the Ultraviolet War, and then the introduction to Null, creator of the symbiotes, which also gave us a new origin for the symbiotes. Well, today we're keeping that train rolling by taking a look at 3 new forces revealed in DC Comics that are basically offshoots of the Speed Force. They are the Still Force, Sage Force, and the Strength Force. That's right, the Speed Force isn't the only force anymore. With that said, they haven't given us a ton of info on these new forces yet, but this is such a potentially huge addition to the DC Comics universe that we definitely need to talk about how they were introduced and what we know so far. It mainly takes place in Scott Snyder's Justice League title, and it all started in issue 2. In the issue, we see Barry Allen Flash build a Speed Force car. Yup, it's a car that could ride the Speed Force, which Barry Allen builds because his connection to the Speed Force has been going on the fritz since the Totality landed on Earth. Anyway, Hawkgirl asks him, "Are you building this because you tripped a couple of times?" To which Flash says, "Ah, the damn speed bump. Yeah, my guess, it's an old villain of mine, Turtle. Emphasis on old." He believes there's an opposing energy to the Speed Force, the Still Force he calls it, always trying to access it, causing vibrational disruptions. The last thing I need right now. Then in issue 3 of Justice League, after we see Cyborg break John Stewart free from the Ultraviolet Lantern's powers, John elaborates on what the invisible spectrum is and how Sinestro is the one who discovered it. I actually elaborate more on this in the Ultraviolet Lantern episode I mentioned before, which you can check out right here. Anyway, he says Sinestro wrote that the invisible spectrum was tied to 6 other hidden forces of the universe, all of them locked by some cosmic stasis that had to be accessed first. The most important part in that sentence is where John says the invisible spectrum was tied to 6 other hidden forces of the universe. That's going to be a big key going forward. Anyway, the Flash responds by saying, "The Still Force, you're telling me it's real?" And John replies, "I wasn't sure any of this was real, but apparently it all just took over my brain and tried to kill you." So, this basically confirms that the Still Force is one of the 7 hidden forces in the universe, which is pretty crazy stuff. Again, the source wall breaking open has unleashed all sorts of stuff. Now, before I continue, let's go back to issue 2 of Justice League that will come full circle in issue 4. In issue 2, there's a single page that shows Lex Luthor presenting a baby to Gorilla Grodd. Lex says, "I've already unlocked the first force, the one that will destroy your enemy, Grodd." A very confused Grodd just stares at the baby and Lex says, "It's a baby, Grodd, pick it up." Staring the baby in the eyes, Grodd says, "Wait, is this who I think it is?" Luthor tells Grodd to connect with the baby and find out, and when he does, he's left in awe of the power the baby possesses. This, of course, left us wondering who the heck is this baby and why is he so powerful? Well, like I said a second ago, we find out in issue 4. In the issue, we see Wonder Woman, Flash, and Aquaman fighting off some monsters at the bottom of the Pacific Ocean, because there's a base down there. Aquaman asks Flash if he can check the rest of the base, but Flash just responds with, "I wish, but the Still Force is still short-circuiting my powers. It's like whenever I fought Turtle, but it doesn't make sense. Last time we clashed, he was old and weak. Someone must have stolen his abilities, enhanced them, but how?" It's at that moment an energy freezes the heroes, and Grodd comes in saying, "It was easy, Flash," almost like taking candy from a well. You get the idea. And we see Grodd stomping in while controlling the Still Force with that baby from issue 2 on his chest, all Hangover style. Flash tells Grodd this is bigger than us, the Still Force. It's universe-ending stuff. But Grodd just laughs while saying something to the effect of, "Yeah, that's the point." Flash seems to recognize the baby, and Grodd interrupts saying, "Yes, Flash, say hello to Turtle, your oldest friend, your very first villain, and now your last," which is a crazy reveal in itself. Keep in mind, Flash, Wonder Woman, and Aquaman still can't move during all of this because that's what the Still Force does. Grodd eventually lets them go, but tricks Wonder Woman into thinking Aquaman is Cheetah, and tricks Aquaman into thinking that Wonder Woman is Black Manta, causing them to attack each other. But the big reveal is why Lex wanted to unlock the Still Force by bringing the baby Turtle to Grodd to defeat Flash in the first place, which is because the Still Force stops all momentum in molecules, and somehow the Flash's Speed Force fuels the Still Force. So during Flash's fight with Grodd, the Still Force energy and power increased immensely. So much so that it was unraveling the boundary between our galaxy and the galaxy of Umbrax, the sentient black sun that powers the Ultraviolet Lanterns. Well, somehow, siphoning from the Speed Force, the Still Force eventually reaches full power and allows the ultraviolet light to infect Earth and our universe, which lets Sinestro recruit almost everyone on Earth and pretty much the entire galaxy to the Ultraviolet Lantern Corps. Cyborg even says, between the planets Umbrax controls and the people succumbing to his call, Sinestro now leads the largest corps in eternity. All the corps put together aren't even close. That's utterly insane. But it's the reason why Lex unlocked the Still Force. First to control it, but also to use it to let Umbrax in and give Sinestro the power to create the largest core of all time, essentially allowing them to take control of the universe. However, that's all we know of the Still Force thus far. I personally think it's really cool, but as I said at the beginning of the episode, we still have the Sage and Strength Forces. To look at those, we have to jump over to the Flash title, starting with issue 49, which was part 3 of the Flash War. I'll say right off the bat that we know less about the Sage and Strength Force at the time of shooting this episode than we do the Still Force, but we do know who unlocked it and who was using it. For those of you who don't know, during the Flash War, Barry and the original Wally West were at odds with one another. And while Barry was trying to stop Wally from going into the Speed Force to save his family, Wally unintentionally broke the freaking Force barrier and unleashed something else that was locked away long ago. Anyway, this event was all orchestrated by Hunter Zolomon, aka Zoom. He tells Barry and Wally, I needed both of you to break the Force barrier so I could gain access to what lay beyond. Zoom then uses one of Flash's rings from the Flash Museum to put on a Flash costume, claiming to be the new Flash, as neither Barry or Wally could ever live up to their true potential. Zoom says, I'm the Flash, the fastest man alive, and so much more. You both think you know everything about the Speed Force, but it's just one of the forces in the multiverse, and now they're free. He goes on to say, history books call these forces the Sage Force and the Strength Force, and he's saying this while using these forces against them. The Sage Force seems to enhance the intelligence of its user to super genius levels, as well as granting them psychic powers such as telepathy and telekinesis. While the Strength Force obviously gives him incredible strength, and Zoom uses these new powers to easily defeat both Flashes. Of course, Zoom is defeated in the next issue, but Barry says that he's briefed the League on the new forces and their possible connection to the Still Force. We also see him saying that the Shattered Force barrier has changed everything, and he doesn't know what else it's unleashed. But that's it. That's all we really know about the Still, Sage, and Strength Forces so far. It's just crazy that we went from having the Speed Force and Negative Speed Force to now having 3 new additions. It's kind of reminiscent of how Blackest Night introduced a bunch of new Lantern Corps. Furthermore, I think it's super interesting how the new Invisible Spectrum and all these new forces seem to be connected to everything going on in Scott Snyder's Today's episode of Variant is brought to you by Domain.com. Today on Variant, I give you the history of Toxin. Welcome to Variant, where we love comics more than I'm ecstatic that Surge is back and available on Amazon. I'm your host, Aris Quinones. Ever since I did a History of Carnage episode a few weeks back, a bunch of people in the comment section of that episode were saying they wanted me to do a history of Toxin. For example, you have this guy and him and this person and that person and a bunch of other people. So it's quite obvious you guys want this episode. So let's do this. Toxin is a fairly new character to the Marvel Universe, making his debut in Venom vs. Carnage issue 2 in 2004. It was created by Peter Milligan and Clayton Crane. With that said, this History of segment might be a little shorter than normal History of episodes, since he's only been around for 10 years, which isn't all that long for a comic book character. Like all symbiotes, Carnage became pregnant but felt only hate and fear for his new quote-unquote son, because of its potential to become stronger than him and Venom. Venom found out about Carnage's pregnancy, so he tracked him down to talk about his spawn. Carnage did not want to talk about the situation, which led to a fight with him and Venom. Carnage was ready to kill his powerful child as soon as it was born. But when Carnage did give birth, however, he was too weak to actually kill it. He would eventually give his symbiote spawn to a New York police officer, Patrick Mulligan, who, you guessed it, becomes the host for Toxin. Carnage hoped to destroy the symbiote later when he gained his strength. Like Carnage said, he attempted to kill Toxin again, but was prevented from doing so by Black Cat and later Venom. Venom wanted to train it to make it an ally against Spider-Man, and if he had to, Carnage. Venom fought Carnage and named the new symbiote Toxin because to other symbiotes he smells like poison and has tendrils like Carnage but has a body similar to Venom. After Carnage attacked Pat's wife and Spider-Man fended him off, Pat's wife started to go into labor and had a little boy named Edward Mulligan. Patrick left, realizing what a danger he would be to them if he stayed. Later in the story, Venom soon realizes that Toxin has a sense of morality by not killing Carnage when he could have. In realizing this, Venom tells his son Carnage that Toxin could likely become a good guy and ally himself with Spider-Man, which wouldn't be good for either of them. So Venom and Carnage team up to try to kill Toxin, but as I said in my History of Carnage episode, that's going to be really hard since Toxin has been said to be the most powerful of all the symbiotes. In the final battle between the three symbiotes, Spider-Man stumbled into the confrontation between the three symbiotes and helped Toxin. After they fended off Venom and Carnage, Toxin had a conversation with Spider-Man, filling him in on what happened to him. Spider-Man gave him a superhero heart-to-heart. Aww. Spidey's so nice, and passed on his Uncle Ben's message, with great power comes great responsibility. Toxin resigned himself to a life of battling his base symbiote urges to indulge in violence and destruction while trying to harness his power for good. Unlike Venom and Carnage, who embrace the power and give into the symbiotes they have, Patrick Mulligan is always having Toxin under control. Also, because Toxin is still a child, Pat is trying to teach a symbiote how to be good. At one point in 2005, in a 6-issue limited series, trying to live with Toxin became too much for Mulligan, who attempted suicide by throwing himself in front of a train. The toxic symbiote intervened at the last moment, saving Mulligan, claiming that Mulligan didn't really want to die. When Mulligan pressed the issue, it became clear that unlike the Venom and Carnage symbiotes, Toxin is not sure if it could survive on its own and find a new host. In this limited series, Razor Fist murdered Mulligan's father, but Toxin begins to show signs of heroic behavior. He tracked down Razor Fist, but instead of killing him, Toxin controls himself and turns Razor Fist over to the police. Mulligan reconciled with his estranged wife Gina by introducing her to the Toxin symbiote as a way of explaining why he walked out on his family. Mulligan and the symbiote came to a peaceful agreement. Mulligan will be in complete control of the symbiote if he allows Toxin 2 hours of playtime each night. However, in those hours, Toxin is not allowed to commit any acts of grand theft, arson, rape, or homicide, which is completely reasonable, unless, you know, you're a weirdo. Patrick Mulligan is eventually beaten to death by Blackheart. Sometime later, Toxin is bonded with, wait for it, Eddie freaking Brock. Toxin then takes on a slightly different appearance, as you can currently see. He then declares he wants to kill Venom above all else. Now, I think this has been a pretty good summary of Toxin's history thus far, so let's talk about his powers. Like all symbiotes, Toxin possesses the powers of his parents, but to a greater degree. He can stick to walls, shapeshift, and also has unlimited webbing. He can camouflage to his environment, form solid weapons from his limbs like Carnage, and he has a healing factor like his predecessors. Unlike the others, Toxin can track anyone, not just other symbiotes, as long as he has something to pick up a scent. Also, he has the ability to hide in his host's bloodstream, which is gross, creepy, and awesome, all mixed into one. But now you guys know what time it is, and that's time for some reading recommendations. You have Venom vs. Carnage, Toxin the Devil You Know, Venom Toxin with a Vengeance, and Deadpool vs. Carnage, which he's not really in all that much, but it's a good read nonetheless. As we all know, a few weeks back, Zack Snyder released a new official photo of the Batmobile due to tons of leaked photos that were coming out prior, which are actually still coming out. So being awesome, he tweeted, "Here's a real picture of the Batmobile." Ever since we got this new official photo and a crap ton of leaked ones, people have been asking me what I think. And what I think is, it looks freaking awesome. It's the perfect mix of brute force, so it's still practical, but at the same time, it still looks streamlined and sleek like a Batmobile is supposed to be. Which is what a lot of people's problem was with the Tumblr, saying it looked too much like a tank and boxy and not like a Batmobile, which I can see where they're coming from, but I still think the Tumblr was a cool design. But I think Zack Snyder hit the nail on the head with this Batmobile, finding the perfect middle ground of pure brute testosterone, but still having the nice aerodynamic sleekness to it. It honestly looks a lot like the Arkham Knight Batmobile, which is great because I love that design as well. Or you could even say it looks like a mix between the Tumblr and the Tim Burton Batmobile. Now I'm going to go off on a little bit of a tangent for a bit. A lot of people were complaining about the turrets, guns, cannons, whatever you want to call it, on the front end of the Batmobile, since Batman is known for not using guns, which makes no sense to me at all. Almost every single Batmobile ever has had some sort of gun, rocket launcher, or shooting device on it. The Tim Burton Batmobile had freaking machine guns that pop out of the front end. The Batpod, which is technically just part of the Tumblr, had rocket launchers or missile launchers on the front of it. The Arkham Knight Batmobile had a cannon, Vulcan gun, and missile barrage on the top of it. So why are people getting their panties in a bunch because of the turrets on the front end of this new Batmobile? I have no clue. All I know is this Batmobile looks extremely awesome, and I can't wait to see it tearing up the streets of Gotham on the big screen. When you buy a domain name from Domain.com, you get the power to influence and control what people find when they search for you online. No domain extension will help you tell your story like a .com or .net domain name. Domain.com is affordable, reliable, and easy to use, and they also give you free comic books. They don't give you free comic books, but they're still awesome. The guys at Domain.com gave Variants an awesome offer. Get 15% off Domain.com's already affordable domain name and web hosting when you use the coupon code Variants at checkout. So when you think domain names, think Domain.com. First up for Wednesday, September 24th is Edge of Spider-Verse issue 3. Keeping it short and simple, if you're a Spider-Man fan, read this comic. Here we have Superman Doomed issue 2. This is the finale to the epic crossover series, Superman Doomed. If you haven't read the storyline, I recommend going back and reading it. And finally, we have Batman Beyond Universe issue 14. This storyline expands more on the relationship between Bruce Wayne, Terry McGinnis, Amanda Waller, and the Phantasm. It's a must-read for any fan of the DC animated universe. Well, that brings another episode of Variant to a close, but remember, you can like our Variant Facebook page, just keep up with the show and all things comic related. You can also follow me on Twitter at twitter.com/Eris_Quinones, but I will see your lovely faces next week when I what?
Talk about all things comics!
That. Well, child, as soon as it was born. However, boom, boom, boom.
He wants to kill his grandfather. He wants to kill him. He wants to kill him dead. What if I talk like this all the time?
Outtake. Today's episode of Variant is brought to you by Domain.com. Today on Variant, I finally talk about another symbiote, the long-requested Anti-Venom. Welcome to Variant, where we love comics more than I'm excited to kick off Villains Month. I'm your host, Eris Quinones. For those of you who don't know, in honor of Halloween, Variant is dedicating the entire month of October to the bad guys. And to kick Villains Month off, I'm going to be talking about a symbiote you guys have been requesting for a while, Anti-Venom. I've already done a history of Venom, Carnage, and Toxin, so of course it was only a matter of time before I talked about Anti-Venom. Now I know Anti-Venom isn't a villain per se, he's actually an anti-hero, but he's an extension of Venom, so I figured he was a good fit for Villains Month nonetheless. Plus he looks scary, and a lot of you guys have been wanting this episode, so let's talk about him. Diving right into it, not wasting any time, we first see Anti-Venom in the 2011 storyline New Ways to Die in issue 569 of The Amazing Spider-Man. While once again praying at a church, Brock was discovered by a philanthropist named Martin Lee, who is secretly Mr. Negative. After attorney Matt Murdock proves in a court of law that Brock was not responsible for his actions while bonded to the Venom symbiote and has Eddie's charges dropped, Lee gets Brock a job in a soup kitchen. Eddie began life as a cook and continued rounds of chemotherapy in order to try to combat his cancer. When Eddie believed his terminal cancer was about to kill him, a touch from Mr. Negative charged the remnants of the Venom symbiote within his body and activated them, causing them to bond to his white blood cells. This created a brand new non-sentient symbiote that lived within Eddie's bloodstream, secretly healing his body of cancer. One day, Matt Gargan, who was the current Venom, was hunting for Spider-Man, and since they form a host, and presuming it to be Spider-Man, followed the Inkling. Gargan then encounters Brock instead of Spider-Man, and the Venom symbiote then attempts to leave Matt Gargan and rebond with Brock. However, upon making contact with Brock's skin, the new symbiote began to react. The white substance seeps out of his pores, and the Venom symbiote is immediately repelled. Once the symbiote completely covers his body and transforms his appearance, Brock declares himself Anti-Venom. After becoming Anti-Venom, Brock and Gargan fight with Spider-Man trying to break them up, but Spider-Man is punched out of the way by both symbiotes. Eddie tells Gargan that he only wants to save him from the symbiote and the poisonous deadly road it will lead him on. Anti-Venom defeats Gargan and nearly kills the Venom symbiote. Brock then detects remnants of the symbiote inside Spider-Man from when he wore the symbiote. He attempts to cure Spidey, draining radiation from his body and nearly depowering him. He doesn't, of course, because the Thunderbolts arrive to break it up, but from then on, Spider-Man's powers are greatly weakened in the presence of Anti-Venom. The Thunderbolts try to kill the new symbiote, but Eddie proves immune to Sonic Bird's sonic projection and Radioactive Man's heat/ radiation, unlike previous symbiotes, including Venom. Eddie then tries to cleanse Radioactive Man, but Sonic Bird saves him. Norman then tells them to retreat, and they take Gargan back to the base to heal him and Venom. Norman then uses the remnants of Anti-Venom in Gargan to create a Super Venom capable of destroying the new symbiote. He then outfits Gargan in a new Scorpion-powered suit that contains a cybernetic tail and a stinger filled with Super Venom. The powered suit also allows the Venom symbiote to regenerate while providing new protection against Anti-Venom's touch. Meanwhile, Brock saves Spider-Man from Bullseye and Norman Osborn, and the two team up. Long story short, after webbing Songbird and Radioactive Man to a wall, Anti-Venom faces Gargan, who now embodies both his power sets as Scorpion and Venom. After a grueling battle, Gargan as Scorpion hits Anti-Venom with his stinger and injects the Super Venom, which seemingly destroys Brock's suit. Gargan then tries to kill Brock, but is met with resistance by the Venom symbiote. Gargan's symbiote gains strength and breaks through his battlesuit, refusing to let Gargan kill Brock. Gargan explains that the suit still loves Brock too much to do so, so Gargan gives up. But he promises Brock that he will get past this problem and someday finish him off, to which Brock replies, "Not if I kill you first." Unknown to Gargan, Brock's Anti-Venom suit reforms. He admits that Spider-Man helped show him a side of humanity he had long forgotten, also saying there was more he could learn from him. Now a fugitive for helping Spider-Man and fighting the Thunderbolts, Brock is back on the streets planning to continue his religious quest as Anti-Venom. Brock later faces the villain Mr. Negative and discovers that he and Lee are the same person. Learning that the man he idolized is a supervillain causes a breakdown for Brock, making him question his faith, referring to himself as a monster. After this revelation, he becomes increasingly unstable mentally, murdering small-time criminals as he did during his Lethal Protector days. He briefly and reluctantly teams up with the Punisher to stop a drug cartel that kidnapped a friend of Brock's. This leads us into the return of the Anti-Venom story. During the road to Spider Island, Anti-Venom makes a return. In this arc, he begins a crusade against Mr. Negative's crime wave and eventually finds Martin Lee himself. As Anti-Venom tears apart his limo, Spider-Man intervenes and stops Brock from killing what he believes is an innocent man. Spider-Man is easily defeated by Brock's new suit and is captured. Later, Eddie tries to convince Spider-Man that Martin Lee and Mr. Negative are one in the same. Due to his disbelief, Spider-Man is forced to tag along with Brock as he continues his search for Mr. Negative. Eventually, Anti-Venom is ambushed and stabbed by what seems to be a Negative sword that causes him to lose the upper hand. The character Wraith then teams up with the two and they reveal Negative's true identity to the press and he is arrested. The story ends with Anti-Venom finally becoming a hero. During Spider Island, Anti-Venom appears as a reoccurring character in the events of Spider Island, in which he uses his healing powers to turn the affected citizens of New York from spider-powered beings back to everyday citizens. When the heroes discover that Eddie Brock holds the only cure for the infestation, Flash Thompson engages in a fight with Anti-Venom in order to secure and deliver him to Reed Richards. To which I say, don't start none, won't be none. Which I'm not really sure if that really makes sense for the situation, but I really wanted to say it. Richards then uses the suit in order to cure New York, but at the cost of Eddie losing his beloved symbiote. Eddie's sacrifice did not go unnoticed. Reed Richards held a press conference praising Eddie Brock as a true hero of Spider Island. In the aftermath, Eddie was left with nothing to show for his sacrifice. He took up living in a shack, gathering weapons that he had confiscated in his years as Venom. His new goal becomes eradicating the symbiote species before they eventually grow in numbers and take over the Earth. He soon kills Hybrid and Scream and plans to go after Venom next. But fear not, my comic comrades, Eddie Brock's career with the symbiote is not over here, because he later becomes the new Toxin and declares he wants to kill Venom above all else. But if you want to know more about Toxin, I already did a history of episode on him, so you can watch that if you'd like. But now that you know about Anti-Venom's origin, let's talk about some powers and abilities. Anti-Venom has superhuman strength, durability, stamina, accelerated healing, offspring detection, meaning he is capable of physically detecting its offspring. He can also wall crawl, has webbing generation, a spider sense, immunity to Spider-Man's spider sense, and camouflage capabilities. One of his coolest powers by far is internal bodily cleansing. After sensing an impurity, Anti-Venom can forcefully cure the substance from the person's body using antibodies produced by the symbiote. He uses this ability to almost completely destroy his old symbiote, and he cured a young girl from her heroin addiction. Hence his name Anti-Venom, because he's the cure for things impure. But now that I've told you about his powers, it's time for some reading recommendations. You have the New Ways to Die storyline, the New Ways to Live storyline, the Return of Anti-Venom, and the Spider Island storyline. When you buy a domain name from Domain.com, you get the power to influence and control what people find when they search for you online. No domain extension will help you tell your story like a .com or .net domain name. Domain.com is affordable, reliable, and easy to use. The guys at Domain.com gave Veritas an awesome offer. Get 15% off Domain.com's already affordable domain names and web hosting when you use the coupon code VARIANTS at checkout. So when you think domain names, think Domain.com. For Next up for Wednesday, October 7th, we have Action Comics issue 45. As this new epic begins, the Man of Steel's identity as Clark Kent has been revealed. Here we have Detective Comics issue 45. When Jim Gordon is approached by the Justice League to solve a series of mysterious mass murders, he must turn his focus away from Gotham City and test his resolve with the world's greatest heroes. And finally, we have Batman and Robin Eternal issue 1. This is the sequel to the awesome Batman Eternal series, and as the title implies, it has to do with all the Robins. If you like Batman in any form, you need to check this out. And that'll bring another episode of Variant to a close. But remember, you can always like our Variant Facebook page, keep up with the show and all things comic related. You can also follow Variant on Twitter at Variant Comics or me on Twitter at Eris_Quinones. But I'll see you guys next week when I talk about all things comics. The Thunderbolts, cybernetic tail and stinger filled with the super venom kill Brock. Gargant explains that the suit still loves Brock. Today on Variant, I talk about the symbiote hybrid, because you all wanted it. Welcome to Variant, where we love comics more than I can't wait to see Season 3 of The Flash. I'm your host, Eris Quinones. A few weeks back, I did a History of Scream episode to continue my history of symbiotes that I've been doing over the course of the show. And in that I asked you guys to let me know in the comment section of that video if you would be interested in a History of Hybrid video, and the response was overwhelming to say the least. I also know that the History of Gohan and Miss Martian are highly requested episodes, so I just wanted to let you guys know I'll be getting to those in due time. But as for today's episode, it's time to talk about more symbiotes, and since you guys wanted it so bad, I present to you the History of Hybrid. Scott Washington, the host of Hybrid, first appeared as a guardsman in The New Warriors issue 21 in March of 1992. As for the symbiote Hybrid, it first appeared in Venom Along Came a Spider issue 1 in January of 1996. We get the origin for Scott in Hybrid in the backup stories for the miniseries Venom Along Came a Spider. Scott Washington was one of the guards at the Vault. For those of you who don't know what the Vault is, it's a prison for superhuman criminals. While working at said prison, he became friends with one of the prisoners, Vance Astrovic, aka Justice, who was formerly known as Marvel Boy. He was put in that prison because, well, he kinda killed his father, and that's a no-no, kids. Anywho, Scott and his guard friend were soon transferred to Facility 12, where the scientists were studying 4 symbiotes, and those 4 symbiotes would be Lasher, Phage, Riot, and Agony. As we know from my History of Scream episode, those 4 symbiotes are the offspring/children of Venom. They were forcefully spawned from Venom when he was captured by the Life Foundation. If you want to know what the Life Foundation is and why they caught Venom, go watch my History of Scream episode. But anyway, Lasher, Phage, Riot, and Agony were caught and sent to the Vault after their sister Scream killed their hosts. While the symbiotes are being experimented on, at another location, Spider-Man, Venom, and Scarlet Spider set off a planet-wide shriek that allows the 4 symbiotes to break free. Being scared, the symbiotes bond together and become hybrid. After this, they briefly bonded with Scott and made him realize that they weren't evil or a threat, they were just scared. He even says, "Now I know that these 4 are different than the rest. They don't want to hurt anyone, they just want to escape to live." So with that, on top of him feeling bad for all the pain they were going through due to the experiments that the scientists were performing on them, he decided to let them escape. Of course, once his bosses found out about this, they fired him. And then on the last panel of Venom Along Came a Spider issue 1, we see Hybrid say, "Need Scott, and Scott needs us." After being fired, Scott returned to where he grew up, a gang-torn neighborhood in Brooklyn. Once he returns home, we see the Easy X gang try to take over a basketball court his brother Derek Washington is currently playing on. Scott doesn't take well to that and almost breaks one of the gang members' arms. The gang eventually leaves, but not before they say Scott and Derek better watch their backs. Flash forward a little bit, the gang breaks into their place and shoots Derek and Scott. Derek dies, and Scott is paralyzed from the waist down. Long story short, Hybrid eventually found Scott, at which point he started to bond with him. Scott was all like, "No, get away from me" at first, but once bonded, he realized that he could walk again, so he decided to use his new powers for what most villains and anti-heroes do: revenge. The funny part about this is that the Hybrid symbiote didn't want to join Scott so they could kill people. They even say something to the effect, "We need each other and can help each other. You understand us and can protect us." But once Hybrid bonded with them, they were like, "Crap, "No, this isn't who you were before, bro." To which Scott replied, "You wanted to be partners, didn't you? Well, now you got your wish." Since Scott was so angry, the symbiotes try to stop him from acts of violence. For instance, when he was trying to get revenge on the Easy X gang, the symbiote said, "Cannot allow murder, Scott." Hybrid goes on to say, "We are permanently bonded with you, Scott, but we are not Venom, we are not Carnage. We will not kill. You have changed so much, Scott." It's just so crazy that the symbiotes are trying to stop him from killing when it's usually the other way around. Eventually, Scott realizes killing won't change or fix anything, so he gives that killing won't change anything speech to the gang. But they could care less. A now hopeless Scott lets the gang get away. But an old friend tells him that it's not hopeless, which in turn makes Scott/Hybrid vow to protect his city. One thing I think is worth mentioning is that since the Hybrid symbiote was originally 4 different entities, Scott has to deal with something really unique. Instead of dealing with one voice in his head, he has to deal with 4 different voices and personalities on top of his own. Running around as Hybrid, Scott started to get a lot of attention from the press. Most of that was for good reasons, but it still got the attention of the jury, a team of former guardsmen of the Vault. This team of self-appointed justice fighters captured Hybrid and were going to kill him, just for being a symbiote. But never fear, friends, the new warrior saved him. His buddy Justice even asked if he wanted to join the group, but Scott said no because he had more important work to attend to, like cleaning up the streets of Brooklyn. Flashing forward a bit, after Eddie Brock lost everything, including his anti-Venom symbiote, to save New York City during Spider Island, he went on a symbiote hunting spree because he now hated them. The first symbiote he killed was none other than Hybrid, and then after that, he went on to kill Scream. But wait, I may have got ahead of myself. You know how I just said Eddie killed Hybrid? Well, as it turns out, he didn't. The 4 symbiotes somehow survived and were forcefully separated. The government then assigned each symbiote to a soldier. These 4 soldiers would be known as the Mercury Team and were sent out to capture Carnage. But you know Carnage, he can't be stopped for long. So he ends up ambushing the Mercury Team at their own base and then tears them apart. Literally. But the symbiotes survive. Speaking of tearing apart, he does the same to Deadpool when Deadpool was hunting him. The now hostless symbiotes bond with mother freaking Deadpool, making him become the new Hybrid, which is kind of awesome. After a crazy battle, Deadpool defeats Carnage by using the symbiotes. He then gives them to the dog that Team Mercury owned. He tells the dog to take them back to the governmental bigwigs, who will know how to take care of them. But just like that, my comic Conrads, it's time to talk about some powers and abilities. Hybrid can wall crawl, sling webs, create bladed weapons with his tendrils, and he could also shape his symbiote in such a way that allows him to glide through the air. He also has camouflage capabilities and can shoot small pieces of his symbiote that can move on their own. He's even detached pieces of his symbiotes to use as trackers or send messages to his allies. Basically, he can pretty much do what all other symbiotes can do, with his own little twist on things here and there. And of course, I couldn't forget to leave you guys with some Hybrid reading recommendations. You have Venom Along Came a Spider issue 1 through 4, Venom issue 15, Carnage USA, the Venom Hunted series, and Deadpool vs. Carnage. I'm here with my buddy Greg Pak. For those of you who don't know, well, you should know who he is, but he's written a ton of amazing comics like Action Comics, World War Hulk, Batman v Superman, Planet Hulk. The list goes on and on. How are you, Greg?
I'm doing all right. Thanks so much for having me.
Well, yeah, thanks for being back on the show. But more recently, now you're doing a new book for Dark Horse Comics called Kingsway West. What can you tell us about that?
Look, I have an actual issue right here. It comes out on Wednesday, August 4th, and it's a gorgeous drawn by Mirko Kolak, written by yours truly. It's the story of a Chinese gunslinger in the Old West searching for his wife, but it's an Old West that's overrun with magic. So imagine a world in which the gold rush happened, but instead of digging up gold, they dug up a substance called red gold, which is the source of magic in this world. And so everything has changed.
Very cool. Now, what can you tell us about some of the characters that are in the actual book?
So our hero is Kingsway Law. He is a veteran of the Red Gold War. The Red Gold Wars that took place between the Chinese Queen of Golden City in Northern California and the Republic of Los Californios, La República de los Californios in the Southwest. So you've got different empires and different communities in the West. Those empires warred over the red gold. And so our hero kind of fought in that war and suffered through that war and committed atrocities during that war. Like a lot of classic Western heroes, has hung up his gun. He's ready to check out. And he has found a woman who feels the same way, a Mexican woman named Sonia, that's his wife, and has disappeared into the wild. to live a life of peace.
Mhm.
But it's a Western, and you can't just live a life of peace in a Western, right? So a mysterious woman, Chinese woman with a magic sword, comes looking for him, and empires start to move again, and suddenly he's pulled back into this when his wife disappears. So he's pulled back into this crazy warring factions on the frontier, and and he's just desperate to find his wife.
Well, it's just really cool. I love the concept that it's a Western, but now we also have magic involved. So we're like in that old type era, but we're getting like all this cool fantasy stuff. So what kind of shenanigans and cool things can you tease for us?
well, one of the fun things was figuring out like a kind of manifestation of magic that makes sense for America. So we've got jackalopes and kinds of big feet-like creatures called bare feet. We've got dragons, including little small dragons that ride around on people's shoulders, and at the same time, you've got these, different folks are using this red gold in different ways to kind of power technology or to power other kinds of things. So different folks figured out different uses for it, and so we'll learn a lot, see how all these different communities are using the magic as well.
Now, obviously, you can pick this book up at your local comic book shop, but where else? I'm sure there's multiple places, like online and stuff that they can pick it up.
If you read books digitally, you can get it at Comixology.
Mhm.
They've got the website and the app that you can check out, and then also just to pre-order the book. Like if you want to, pre-ordering it's this weird thing in comics, but it is the number one thing you can do to support a book. And all that means is you're telling your local shop that you want the book, because print runs of comics are based on orders from shops. So I set up a website at kingswaywest.com. So it's just the title of the book.com. And if you go there, you'll find a pre-order form, and you can pick a store near you and pre-order the book.
All right, so if people want to follow you on the social media, on the internets, so to speak, how would they be able to do that?
I'm on Twitter at Greg Pak, GregPak, and I'm on Instagram at Greg Pak Pics. So it's Greg Pak with Pix at the end. Some other sneaky person got Greg Pak before I did.
First up for Wednesday, August 24th, we have Titans issue 2. In this issue, the Titans prepare to do the unthinkable in order to defeat the intergalactic demon that stole time itself from the DC universe. And finally, we have Flash issue 5. With Central City now protected by dozens of freshly trained Flashes, Barry Allen takes time out to explore a new relationship. And that brings another episode of Variant to a close. But before I go, I just want to give a special thanks for Greg Pak for coming on the show once again. And be sure to check out his Kingsway West series. It's really good, I promise. But with that said, remember you can always like our Variant Facebook page to keep up with the show and all things comic related. You can also follow Variant on Twitter at Variant Comics, or me on Twitter at Eris_Quinones. But I'll see you guys next week when I talk about all things comics. As some of you may or may not know, sometimes in the outtakes I like to do staring contests, and I haven't done one in a while, so I think it's time to do one. So in 1, 2, 3, stare.
Atención, por favor. El vuelo número 215 con destino a Cantón está iniciando el proceso de embarque. Vuelo número 215 de las 11:45 horas con destino a Cantón, iniciando el proceso de embarque.
El hambre carcome el corazón. Estos diluvios son inusuales en Beijing. El metro engulle a la gente como si fuera una sopa fría y la escupe mecánicamente hacia la superficie. La ciudad insensible parece borrar toda expresión de los rostros. Apuesto a que el mío no es la excepción. Atrapado en la rutina monótona, puedes recordar todo lo que alguna vez amaste y atesoraste. Y aún así sentir que perdiste algo. Tu lengua se entumece. Poco a poco olvida las sensaciones de tu hogar. El sabor que había perdido ahora parece estar persiguiéndome. ¿A dónde han ido esos recuerdos que creía atesorar? Cada vez que cambia la estación, recuerdo los fideos de arroz que comía en mi ciudad natal. El sabor que más estimula mis sentidos es el de los fideos con ingredientes de estación. Los fideos Xian-Xian. En la provincia de Hunan, casi todos comienzan el día con un tazón bien caliente de fideos de arroz. Beben hasta la última gota y quedan con la cara toda sudada.
Bien, sus tazones. Muchísimas gracias.
Algunos de mis primeros recuerdos son de un modesto restaurante que servía fideos de arroz.
Que tenga un buen día. Oh. Min, cariño.
¡Abuela!
Los fideos de arroz que vendían estaban hechos a mano. Eran translúcidos y muy hermosos. Debías tomarte tu tiempo para masticarlos, como si quisieran que empezaras el día despacio y en calma. Este era un momento entre abuela y nieto. Como mis padres trabajaban, pasaba cada mañana con mi abuela y los fideos. Eran los deliciosos fideos Sanxian y me entregaba por completo a ellos. Los hongos fuertes y resistentes, deslumbrantes, orejas de Judas, con su textura firme. Cada uno agregaba un toque único al caldo espeso que los acunaba, creando un sabor que elevaba mi corazón.
Ay, mírate.
El vapor caliente sobre mi piel, el aroma de la sopa, el sonido de nosotros dos dando sorbos. No imaginan cuánto adoraba esos momentos. Pero había más ingredientes que lo hacían delicioso. La carne y el shiitake picados una y otra vez. El huevo frito, que se sentía suave y esponjoso al deslizarse por mi garganta. La sopa color ámbar, que realzaba el sabor de cada ingrediente. Algunos usan glutamato de sodio para dar más sabor a sus platos. Pero la pareja que cocinaba en este restaurante simplemente le dedicaba tiempo y esfuerzo a crear los mejores fideos de arroz posibles.
Así me gusta, cariño. ¿Quieres que te sirva un poco más?
En ese entonces no lo sabía. Pero el dueño de ese restaurante había sido chef personal en Beijing. Y se decía que era el mejor cocinero de la provincia de Hunan. Al parecer, tiempo antes de que yo naciera, el cocinero decidió independizarse, mudándose a esta zona y abriendo un restaurante. El único plato que preparaba eran los fideos Sanxian, y lo había estado haciendo día tras día durante más de 20 años. Los fideos hechos a mano nunca cambiaban. La sopa siempre era la misma. Su esposa y él no hablaban mucho, pero a todos les encantaba lo que cocinaban. Sus fideos de arroz eran tan buenos que había gente que madrugaba y viajaba desde muy lejos para comerlos. Aunque no siempre llegaban a tiempo. Pero yo tenía la suerte de vivir cerca, así que podía comer sus deliciosos fideos de arroz todos los días. Mi abuela una vez me enseñó que los que aman comer serán bendecidos y encontrarán el camino a la comida deliciosa. Un día de la nada, el cocinero y su esposa cerraron el restaurante y desaparecieron. Algunos decían que era por la envidia que había generado su éxito. Otros, que un antiguo empleador les había pedido que volvieran a Beijing. A donde fuera que hayan ido, debió estar lleno de gente que adoraba la buena comida. Y yo deseaba que sus deliciosos fideos de arroz hicieran tan feliz a esa gente como a mí. Los fideos que vendían cerca de la escuela no estaban hechos a mano. Su textura no tenía nada especial, pero estaban llenos de ingredientes frescos y calientes. El sabor intenso de los vegetales salteados cubría los fideos y penetraba en el caldo. No era como el restaurante al que iba con mi abuela, pero aún así me gustaba.
Oye, ¿vas a la secundaria en la Academia Ford?
Ah, sí.
Mi hijo también estudia ahí. Está en tercer año de la preparatoria. Adiós, amor. Que tengas lindo día. Cuando mi hijo se gradúe y tenga un empleo, tal vez yo pueda descansar un poco. Este trabajo es agotador. Pero tú estás en pleno crecimiento. Así que aliméntate bien y estudia mucho, ¿eh?
Muchas gracias. Ella tenía un año más que yo. Y todos los días tomaba ese camino a la escuela. Su cabello castaño brillaba a la luz de la mañana. Y yo sentía que podía pasarme toda la vida mirándolo. Una de las grandes razones por las que siempre comía en ese restaurante era para poder verla. Era uno de mis secretos, una de mis pequeñas emociones. Todo era como un sueño, y no sé por qué, pero me parecía que iba a durar para siempre. Hasta que en otoño de ese año...
Aquí deben ir los estantes.
El restaurante de fideos de arroz se transformó.
No te preocupes.
El esposo de la cocinera había encontrado una nueva vocación y la convenció de convertir el restaurante en una tienda de pesca. Mis mañanas felices desaparecieron de repente. Me quedé sin fideos de arroz y sin ver a la chica de mis sueños. Pero la tienda de pesca parecía ser un verdadero fracaso.